Hello and welcome to In a Spiritual Sense, where we discuss all things spiritual. From growing your intuition, speaking with spirit guides, diving into past lives, the paranormal, and more, join me, Stacey Piagno, where we work to bridge the gap between science and spirit. Hello and welcome back to In a Spiritual Sense. I'm your host, Stacey Piagno, and today is going to be a fun topic because we are going to discuss crystals. You see them everywhere, everyone's using them, but do you know how they can truly be a benefit and tool to your healing? On today's episode, we have with us special guest Shiri Perera, who is the owner and founder of Atmaya, and she's a certified crystal healer and self-taught jewelry artist. Armed with a deeper understanding of the metaphysical properties and benefits of crystals, she shares her learnings in the form of energy healing and delicate signature jewelry. Having lived her life across the world in Sri Lanka, United Arab Emirates, England, Lebanon, and Canada, Shiri always found herself drawn to a path of a higher calling. Having experienced cosmic alignment during several mind-bending moments in her journey, Shiri found herself on a quest for self-awakening. This pursuit for a spiritually empowered lifestyle is how her business, Atmaya, came into being. Everyone, please welcome to the show, Shiri. Hello, welcome, Shiri. How are you?
Thank you so much, Stacey. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's really exciting to have you on the show today to talk about a very fun topic. We're going to get into crystals. So, Shiri, could you please just give us a little background on who you are and how you got interested in crystals?
I am a crystal healer and a crystal artist. So I have a little business by the name of Atmaya that provides activated crystal jewelry as well as crystal healing services. And I got interested in crystals while I was living in Abu Dhabi. So I was born and I grew up in the Middle East, and it was a very spiritually expanding experience when I first had my connection with crystals. I was already going through some experiences that were really teaching me a lot about myself and life in general. And I remember walking into this shop in Abu Dhabi, and I saw a whole bunch of crystals just sitting there looking so beautiful. And the first crystal that I grabbed was an amethyst.
Mm.
I immediately felt that connection. I felt a sense of warmth. It was curiosity mixed with inspiration and a sense of knowing. So I was just wondering where all these feelings were coming from. And that's when I decided to explore a little bit more and find out what crystals actually mean and how you can use them in your life. So I started working with them by incorporating them into my designs. I started Atmaya by making dream catchers. So I
Okay.
started making crystal dream catchers, and these dream catchers were associated with each chakra. So I would use specific crystals that resonated with each chakra and have them in my creations. And as that progressed, I moved into the line of jewelry, where I started making crystal jewelry. So crystal pendants, crystal earrings, crystal crowns. And that was how I was introduced into this wonderful, magnificent world of crystals. And I understand that it was mainly with my creations, but it also taught me a lot about my journey as an individual and as a healer,
Mhm.
and how everyone can use these crystals to just live a more abundant life.
Very beautiful. I love it. And I love how your craft kind of brought you into that. Because I think that's something, that happens with most of us in life is when we're doing things that make us happy and we're doing our passions, spirit kind of finds a way to connect us. So that's a really beautiful story. Um, okay, so crystals, they're pretty mainstream, they're fashionable, they're beautiful. What's the big deal? Let's get into it a little bit. Can you kind of break down just from the basics? how do crystals affect us and how can they be used as a tool to help benefit different areas of our lives?
Absolutely, Stacey. So, as you might very well know, everything is based on energy. We are just surrounded by everything that emits a specific vibration. And the same goes for crystals. They carry a sacred energy and codes and certain properties that just help propel your journey into where you're supposed to go. And I understand that it's known as a fashionable trend, but I really do think that the community is stepping away from that now. As
Mm-hmm.
you see the years progress and all of the experiences that we go through, the pandemic being one of them, people have stepped into a more heightened state of consciousness and living. So now they're actually using crystals not just to look pretty, but to basically emit a certain frequency that helps them live a high vibrational life. And these crystals, I absolutely believe that when you do wear crystals, it provides such a huge benefit and change to your life. And I really encourage others to incorporate this crystal jewelry into their jewelry collection, especially when you are saying affirmations with them as well. So, when it comes to the crystal jewelry that I offer in Atmaya, every piece comes with a specific affirmation. So it comes with a channeled affirmation. So once you wear this piece of jewelry, you're constantly just repeating those affirmations and therefore just realigning your energy field to that of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So from a trend, it has gone to certain belief systems, and then from this, it has gone to a certain lifestyle. And this lifestyle just basically incorporates every single thing that you are trying to achieve for yourself.
Yeah.
So I would actually suggest to others to first start off with certain crystals that you can keep around the house and
Mm-hmm.
then move on to wearing them. Once you start to gain a little bit more knowledge and experience with these crystals, start wearing them in forms of jewelry and forms of dream catchers, just hanging them around your house and basically just surrounding yourself with crystals. So yes.
Yeah. Could you speak a little bit about having an intention with the crystal? We'll kind of get into breaking down what different crystals means in a minute. But as far as, how they can transform your energy, one thing that I actually, before I have you answer that, one thing that I just learned for those scientific minds out there is that, crystals have a very fixed vibration. It's a very stable vibration. And then us as humans, our vibration can be very unstable and it can change, based off of us coming in contact or close proximity with other people or with other things like that. And so crystals having that more fixed vibration, when we bring that in contact with us, it can slowly start to change ours. And that was something that I just read about. And I was like, that's a really good explanation for people who kind of need that quote unquote proof. You know what I mean? Can you speak a little bit about also, in addition to that, having an intention? Like let's say that you are wearing crystals as jewelry or you're carrying one in your pocket, having an intention to remind you of a certain meaning throughout the day. Speak a little bit on that for us if you can.
So that intention that you are reminding yourself of, and basically that you are saying out to the universe, you are applying that same process, that same concept into that crystal. So when you start working with the crystal, the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, create your intention, say your intention. And that intention comes from a place of desire. It comes from a place of wanting more for yourself, but in terms of self growth and progression, it doesn't come from a space of ego. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come from a space of trying to be better than anyone else. Your intention is strong as it is pure. So the crystal that you are working with actually recognizes that. So
Mm-hmm.
the energy and the frequency that the crystal holds, and as well as your intention that you put into it, it basically helps you reach that frequency that you want to reach. And
Yeah.
therefore, once you start living on that frequency, your reality becomes that frequency.
Yeah.
What you are is what you attract. And that is the general idea behind intentions and crystals. When your intention is pure and it matches the frequency that you are trying to emit, your reality will automatically change in order to help you accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish for yourself.
Hmm.
So that's the
Beautiful.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's get into the different shapes of crystals. I know that they come in all different shapes and sizes. Does the shape and size matter for a crystal? And can you explain what they mean?
Absolutely, it does matter. So, like you said, all crystals come in different shapes and sizes. I would like to just speak about the shapes first.
Okay.
Um, so, the shapes, let's start with with a sphere, for example. A sphere is, you would know, just a complete round object, and it emits energy from all directions. So, essentially, what it's reminding you is that you are a part of the universal oneness. You are a part of a greater whole and you contribute to this amazing universe that we have manifested for ourselves. And when you hold a crystal sphere in your hand, you are basically holding the world in the palm of your hand, and it is yours to conquer, it is yours to claim. And then we have the crystal clusters. So the crystal clusters are, as you know, just raw crystal formations in its original form. And these are the crystals that you would like to keep in your house.
Okay.
They are generally meant to represent unity. They provide a sense of calmness. It's amazing for sacred spaces. And basically, it brings the community together. Right. So again, unity. Then you have the double pointers. So the double terminated crystals. And they have points in either direction, which signifies that energy is flowing as well as being received in both sides. And these essentially would be used in crystal grids because it directs the energy into whichever direction it's supposed to go. Then you have the single pointers where one point is actually directing energy outwards. So again, you would use these in crystal grids as well. And you have the cabochon crystals, which have a flat side and a round surface. These are used for jewelry. So
Okay.
essentially, these are what you wear on yourself. And then, of course, you have the most popular ones, which are the tumble stones. The tumble stones are small in size and they're quite smooth to the touch. And these are just your favorite travel companions.
Okay.
Wherever you travel, your crystals can be carried, these tumble stones can be carried in a little bag. You can put them on you, like inside your clothes, your innerwear that you're having on, and they're just meant to accompany you wherever you go. So these are essentially the main definitions of the types of crystals that you have, the different shapes. Now the sizes, I wouldn't really say that it makes much of a difference, but the bigger the crystal, the greater the vibration. And the greater the vibration, the greater the energy that it holds. So essentially, these bigger crystals would be for meditation spaces, meditation workshops, spiritual festivals, etc. So they are just a beautiful piece that you can have just to emit that wonderful energy and just keep everyone in a very high vibrational space.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much. What about, let's get into the crystal grids a little bit.
Sure.
I see them all over, the internet and they're beautiful. Can you go over what is a crystal grid for those who might not know and maybe give us like an example of how one would work?
Sure, absolutely. So a crystal grid is created with the intention of manifesting your desires. So whether that be it a job that you would like to manifest, or you would like to attract a soulmate, or if you would like to send out good energy to that loved one, you create a crystal grid. So a crystal grid has a main crystal right in the center, and then it has its supporting crystals around it. So these supporting crystals, I would say, like to complement one another.
Okay.
So you would like to choose, if the center of the crystal grid, your main crystal is an intense crystal, then you would like to choose more gentle crystals that surround it. And of course, these crystals can be in different shapes, but in my experience, I would like to choose the double pointers or the single pointers in order to direct the energy to the outer layers of the crystal grid. And what I meant about now with intense and gentle crystals is that, for example, your center crystal is malachite. Now, malachite is an intense crystal, but it is a stone of abundance and it is a stone of prosperity. So, if you would like to attract more financial abundance into your life, you would choose malachite as your main crystal, but your surrounding crystals could be rose quartz, just to remind you that everything comes in its own divine timing. And everything is falling into place based on the love that you show yourself. So again, rose quartz is connecting to your heart center and helping you understand that everything comes through unconditional love, patience, and self-acceptance. And then, of course, you could use your clear quartz crystals as well to remind you that you are more than this physical body, that your light shines greater than what you actually perceive it to be. And you are not only this physical body living this wonderful 3D experience, but you are also connected to a higher source. You are connected to a cosmic vibration that allows you to understand and really believe that everything is within your grasp and everything is possible.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And you kind of brought up another topic for me. Let's go ahead and jump into manifestation for a minute. Can you speak a little bit on how crystals can help us manifest? I know that that was kind of an example that you did just give us. Let's just kind of briefly talk about manifestation, because something that I realize, there's a lot of talk about manifestation. A lot of people will sit and meditate and they're trying to manifest things. And then in my experience, a lot of times spirit will give you what you're asking for, but it's not what you're thinking, right? And so maybe I'm going to go ahead and answer.
You hit the nail on the head, Stacey.
But, it's like we're asking for these things and we're praying for these things, and spirit is trying to provide them for us. And then we're pushing it to the side because it's not in the way that we think it is, or it doesn't come in the time that we want. So we shut it down and we say, I didn't get it. Can you speak a little bit more about manifestation for us?
Sure. So manifestation comes hand in hand with self-healing. If you are not healing yourself, if you are not doing the inner work and dealing with your shadows, then it would be quite difficult to manifest, because your manifestations are not in alignment with the frequency that you are emitting. So when it comes to manifestation, yes, there are single crystals that you can work with. So we actually spoke about malachite is a stone of abundance as well as manifestation. There's chrysocolla as well. Again, another wonderful, strong crystal for manifestation and abundance. There's citrine, which provides a very strong work ethic and helps you build your confidence and allows you to believe in yourself. And therefore, that leads to manifestation and abundance, because again, you're changing your energy field, you're aligning your energy field. There is also rose quartz. Rose quartz may not be a manifestation and abundance stone, not as popular as the others, but rose quartz brings you back to your heart center, reminds you that you are absolutely just unconditional and divine love. So when you're emitting that high frequency of unconditional love, the universe has no choice but to allow things to align for you. So your manifestations come into effect when you work with single crystals, yes, but you need to do the inner work. You have to deal with your shadows, because your shadows, they are the ones that help you realize the light. They direct you towards the light. So you have to work with your darkness first in order for your manifestations to come into effect. Now, as much as you can work with single crystals, you can also work with crystal grids, as we just spoke about. So if you have a specific intention. For example, if you'd like to manifest that dream job, the crystals that you are looking at essentially would be citrine, would be red jasper, carnelian. Carnelian ignites creativity. It brings out that divine feminine that helps you reach for your goals. Citrine builds up confidence, it builds up self esteem. Red jasper, almost the same. There is also malachite that we spoke about, which is another stone of abundance that you can incorporate into your crystal grids. And there's also clear quartz, reminding you of your higher connection to source and to cosmic vibration. But there's also smoky quartz. Now, when it comes to manifesting that dream job, you would like to have a grounding crystal in there as well, helping you connect to your ancestors, helping you connect to the earth, to the sacred land, just basically keeping you grounded and ready for all of this abundance that is going to flow into your life. So not only is smoky quartz a grounding crystal, but again, it helps you connect to the source. It helps you connect to the universe. So incorporating all of these different crystals based on their properties and how they can aid in your manifestations and manifesting that dream job, that is how you use them in your crystal grid. So again, in order for your manifestations to come through and to attract all of that abundance into your life, you have to first start doing the inner work. You need to deal with your shadows. And when that happens, you will find that many changes happen in your spiritual journey as well. You will have several spiritual awakenings. And the important part is how grounded you can remain when these spiritual awakenings come into your life, and how you are ready to overcome the challenges that you are faced with, as well as reach for those opportunities that present itself so openly, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
absolutely. And I love how you talked about, getting in touch with your shadows, because at the end of the day, if you're looking for a quick out, and if you're looking for a crystal to come and change your life or help you overcome an obstacle, that crystal is not going to do the trick. It's going to help you get on the frequency that will allow you to touch into your shadows, like you said.
Absolutely.
Because I think working with spirit, you can't fake it. It's like you can't just, I mean, yes, it can be a starting point, like fake it till you make it, that idea, trying to train yourself to get to that space, but you have to really do the work to get to that space, because you
Absolutely.
can't fake a vibration. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because crystals can help us with that, but we've got to do the work.
Exactly. Because
So,
everyone is ready to want things,
mhm,
everyone is ready to need things, but no one's appreciating the present moment.
mhm,
And when you find yourself appreciating the present moment and being grateful for what you already have, the abundance that flows your way it's limitless.
mhm,
It really is. You can't even see it coming sometimes.
mhm.
And to touch up on your earlier point, when you said the universe grants you things that you were actually not happy with, you mentioned that, oh, this is not what I wanted
Right.
something else. But that thing that came through is helping you get to what you
Yes.
want.
Mhm.
It's not going to come the first time you ask, because there are so many other things that need fixing.
Mm.
You need to overcome your shadows and the blocks that you have in order to reach the abundance that you so crave.
Mm.
So that is the journey in itself, and that is how you are appreciative of everything. You're not appreciative of what you get right now.
Mm.
You're appreciative of all of it. And
Right.
that is the meaning of abundance.
Absolutely. And even just thinking about appreciation in general, I mean, how much more appreciative are you of something when you earn it and you take the time and you do the journey? So I think that that's really what life is teaching us. And I think it's really a switch of our perspective, like switching your perspective. Even when we talked about our shadows a minute ago, you know, well, the reason we might have a crack, like, let's take a look at what that crack is, because that crack, if we can face it, is like very directly telling us what we need to do. Like, if it's the opposite that you want, well, how do you know what the opposite is unless you know what the crack is? Does that
Yeah,
make sense? Like I like playing with the duality of that. So
absolutely.
anyways,
Yeah.
okay, so let's get into chakras a little bit. I guess let's just start for those who are not as knowledgeable of the chakras. Can you just give us like a brief description of the chakra system? And then we can start tying some crystals into that.
Sure. So the chakras are the energetic points within your body. So there are 7 energy points, starting with the root chakra, then it goes into the sacral, then it goes into the solar plexus, your heart chakra, throat, third eye, and then your crown chakra. There are more than 7 chakras, but we're just going to talk about the energy
Mhm.
points. So your root chakra, which is located at the base of your spine, that is your foundation. So that is the representation of your grounding energy, how grounded you are to Mother Earth, to yourself, to the it's basically just the representation of the foundation that you have formed in order to be connected to your family, your friends. It's the I would say the first part of your identity.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then we go into the sacral chakra. Now, your sacral chakra is the center of your manifestations. It is the representation of your reproductive system, so therefore the divine masculine as well as the divine feminine. And it is the center of your creativity. It is where you, as human beings, we have this wonderful gift to create. So this is where we start creating, and that kind of makes sense because that is where your reproductive system is associated as well, right? But it has this very strong connection with your manifestations and your abundance,
Mhm.
because when you access your center of creativity, you are just allowing things to flow naturally and the way it should.
Mhm.
And then we go into the solar plexus. Now, your solar plexus is at the first half of your stomach, so your core region, and that is the representation of your inner light, your inner power, your confidence, how you are as an individual, and your uniqueness of what you want to attract into your life. So, when you start building on your confidence, you are believing in yourself, you are believing that you can do this. And also, that belief stretches out into the universe. You start understanding that when you are strong within, when you are allowing your light to shine through, the light shines right back at you. So then we move into the heart chakra. Now, your heart chakra is a center of unconditional high vibrational love. It's about self acceptance, it's about self care, it's about how you respect yourself as well as others. It's about all the soulful and meaningful relationships that you attract into your life, both negative and positive, because every relationship is here to teach you something about yourself and to help you propel you towards your ascension. So that's your heart chakra. Now we come into the throat chakra. Your throat chakra is connected to your sacral chakra because, again, it is a representation of your creativity and manifestation because you're using your voice this time. You start creating with your sacral, but now you're speaking those words. You're
Mhm.
speaking the thoughts that you are thinking, and you're doing so with dignity, with honesty, and authenticity. Then you move into your third eye chakra. Your third eye chakra is your all seeing eye. It's the eye that helps you see beyond the physical, right? And it also helps you connect to the higher source. And then you come into your crown chakra, which works coincidentally with your third eye chakra. And it's just the connection to the universe, the unseen realms, and basically allows that white light energy to shine through to nourish the rest of your chakras. So that's the basic explanation of your
Mhm.
chakra system.
Okay, so now with that said, what happens, as we go living our lives and we get unbalanced with our chakras? How can crystals help us realign that vibration? And maybe give us a couple examples of each crystal that can help if somebody is unbalanced in an area.
So we can start with the root chakra. When the root chakra is out of balance, there is a sense of feeling lost that comes through because you're not confident now in your own foundation. Things are not steady as you would like them to be. For example, you have issues with your family, relationships are not working out very well, your work is not doing too well, financial security is an all-time low. So feelings of not feeling safe starts to come through. So when your root chakra is out of balance, it's a little bit difficult for the other chakras to remain in balance as well, because you are not having that confidence anymore. So if you are not financially secure, your confidence deteriorates, and therefore you start having less faith in the universe, you start having less faith in yourself, and the general consensus is, why is this all happening to me? So feelings of not feeling safe, feelings of feeling lost, these are all of the things that happen when your root chakra is out of balance. Now, the crystals that work with the root chakra is smoky quartz, is black tourmaline, is hematite. I would like to talk about hematite, for example. Now, hematite is a strong grounding crystal. And when you look at hematite, it's actually a reflective stone. You can actually see your reflection in it. So it's a very strong representation of who you are as a person. And it provides this magnetic pull, bringing you back to the earth and giving those very calming energies of, hey, everything is okay. You are safe. You are loved. You are love. So these are the crystals actually that help with the root chakra. So I mentioned hematite, black tourmaline, smoky quartz. And as you notice, these are all darker colored crystals.
Right.
Yeah. So now we move into the sacral chakra, which is more red, more vibrant. So we're looking at carnelian, we're looking at red jasper. You go into the solar plexus, and as I mentioned before, your solar plexus chakra is the representation of your inner light. So we're looking at more vibrant crystals. We're looking at yellow crystals. So there's citrine, there's yellow jasper. And then we go into the heart chakra. Now, the heart chakra is both pink in color as well as green. So we're looking at rose quartz, we're looking at jade, we're even looking at malachite for the heart center. Turquoise is blue. So we're looking at, the throat chakra is blue. So we're looking at turquoise. And we're also looking at lapis lazuli. When you go into the third eye chakra, it's indigo. So we're looking again at amethyst. We're looking at lapis lazuli as well, and sodalite. And then you go into the crown chakra, which is white light energy. We're looking at clear quartz, selenite, Lemurian quartz. When each of these chakras are out of balance, the crystals recognize this imbalance and help you it helps bring you back to your original state. So each crystal that you work with carries a specific vibration and energy. When you place these specific crystals on each energy point, it helps you realign your entire energy field. It doesn't solve the problem, but it basically gives you a jump start into realigning your entire chakra system. And by realigning your entire chakra system, it helps you take conscious action in your realistic life in order to help you overcome the challenges that you are currently facing.
Yeah.
So when I mentioned that you are what you attract, when you are feeling low, when you are feeling as if the entire world is conspiring against you, your chakras will be out of balance. And you can use crystals as a tool in order to help realign those chakras back to your original state, and therefore help you go on with your journey and find solutions as to what it is you feel that you are lacking in your life.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a really good explanation. And I like how you said it was a jump start. It's not fixing the problem, but it's putting you in the right headspace. It's putting you in the right vibration to then go on to solve those problems. Or I should say, switch our perspective to seeing that they're not problems, but they're maybe challenges that will help us grow or things like that.
So they're just experiences. And it's very interesting because when you start to work with crystals and place them on your body, when you will immediately know, Stacey, when you have a certain low vibration that is coming through and you feel that things are not okay, you will understand that your chakras need a little bit of attention. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So when you place those crystals on whichever energy point that you're trying to send energy to, you will feel a sense of warmth. You will either feel a warm sensation, a tingling sensation. You will probably see the crystal move a little bit. These are just very common results of what may happen when you start working with crystals and chakras.
Yeah. And I would recommend for those who are feeling a little out of whack or who are feeling unaligned, if you're not familiar with the chakra systems, I would recommend going and doing some more research on that and seeing maybe what chakra might be unbalanced for you. And then that kind of brings me into my next question. For those who are interested in adding crystals into their day-to-day life, what are some good places to start? Maybe what I just mentioned. But can you speak a little bit on that? Because it can be very overwhelming. There's so many and there's so many different meanings. How would you recommend people starting?
Absolutely. It definitely is overwhelming for sure. But I would actually suggest that to start with the beginner crystals. And by beginner crystals, I would mean start incorporating them into spaces within your house. And we are looking at rose quartz. It's a very gentle stone, reminding you that you are nothing but high vibrational, unconditional love, and you want this love to emit within your home, right? So getting a raw piece of rose quartz is always the right way to go. You can also start with purple amethyst, just like I did. It may be an intense crystal, but purple amethyst has helped a lot of beginners in understanding their purpose and helping them live a very high vibrational life. You can also start with citrine. So citrine again is a beginner's crystal. It builds up your confidence. It helps you maintain focus. It increases your determination, your perseverance. So having raw crystals first within your house, that is the perfect way to start your crystal journey. And as the crystals that I mentioned, these are the beginner crystals that you would like to work with. And once you start to gain a little bit of experience and understanding of these crystals, you can move further to the more intense ones. And we're looking at chrysocolla, we're looking at malachite, there is lepidolite as well, and so many others that you can work with. There's also lapis lazuli. There is labradorite. Now, labradorite is an intense crystal. It is a healer's crystal, and it helps you uncover your own purpose. So that comes in the later stages of your crystal journey. But definitely, I would suggest start with having a few crystals at home first and see how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel comfortable? Does it make you feel safe? And really sit with them and understand where you are at your journey and what exactly you need after getting these beginner crystals, because the answers will always come.
Yeah. I actually have a cute story to share. I had been, I guess, working with crystals for a little bit, like intentionally working with crystals. I always grew up interested in them and being drawn to them. But so one thing, I don't know if I've mentioned to you previously, Shiri, but I am a big dreamer. And so something that just really resonates with me, I'm a Pisces, I'm a very creative person, and I work a lot with my dreams. And my listeners know we've had episodes on that before, but I had a very specific dream. It was probably, I don't know, 6 months to a year ago. And in my dream, there was this whole plot going on. But within that, I walk into this crystal shop. And this woman comes up to me and she hands me a crystal. And she says, here, and tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, angelite. Am I saying that correct? Okay. So she says, here, you need angelite. And so I open my hand in the dream and I'm looking at it. And it's like this nice, it's kind of like the size of the palm of my hand, a nice, smooth stone, baby blue angelite. And so then I continue with the plot of my dream and I wake up and I immediately am like, okay, I have to go to my crystal shop and I have to go find some angelite. So I go in there and I ask the woman and I say, well, now we're in real life. And I say, hey, do you have any angelite? And she says, yeah, I have a couple pieces over there. So I go and look on the table and there's a few pieces, one of which is identical to the one that the woman handed me in my dream.
That is
And so of
lovely.
course I pick it up. And something that I do one way, I create my own language with spirit. We've talked about that on previous episodes, where one thing I do is I will have like number recognition for myself. So a
Yeah.
number that represents me is the number 12. And so I look at the price tag and it says 12. So to me, that's just like an extra layer of like validation. Okay, I'm going to buy this crystal. And then I was thinking, okay, well, I kind of want one more because I was going to use that one under my pillow when I sleep. And then so I found another one and it was a nice, had a nice point at the top for manifesting. And I was like, okay, I'm going to buy this other one for manifesting. And I look at the price tag and it also had 12. And they were the only two crystals that had 12 on them and the only two that I was really initially drawn to. So I was like, okay, done deal, got it. And so I I use it under my pillow, and of course, I'm sure it's helping me
For
with all
sure.
of that.
And I love that it became two crystals, instead
Yeah.
of one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the next thing when you walk into a crystal shop, like absolutely, in fact, for beginners, they want to get those beginner crystals. They want to get
Mm-hmm.
citrine, there's tourmaline for protection, there's rose quartz for love, etc. But when they walk into that crystal shop, there's always one crystal that calls out to you.
Yes.
So you never walk out with just one crystal that
Oh
you
my
intend to
gosh.
buy. There is something else that will draw your attention, and then that's the one. You see, that's
Yes.
the one that will help me.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you walked into that crystal shop in the first
It's
place.
dangerous because I'll go in and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get one, maybe two. No, there's like I leave with that.
That's the right word. It's really dangerous,
It
okay?
is.
Because my bank account every single month falls at an all-time low at the
I
end.
know.
So it is definitely
So
dangerous.
funny. You
What you
know,
gonna
now you gotta
do?
spend your time in. And I like how you kind of mentioned, along with my dream is another way to start for beginners is to let the crystal choose you. Go in, get your beginner crystals. But if you do see one that really catches your attention, get it and sit with it and put it in your house or meditate with it because, I do believe that we're drawn to things that we need and then this and that. So I would say start with beginner crystals and whatever is pulling you towards it is always a good place.
Exactly. And I love that you said the crystal chooses you because that's actually the tagline of Atmaya. The
Yes, I
crystal chooses
saw.
you. Yes. And it really does. It really does. And one thing that I wanted to mention, some crystals, when you have set your intention and you work with this crystal and over time, etc., when the intention is fulfilled, some of the crystals they break. And
Interesting.
they break like imperfect halves as well.
Mm.
And that's when you know it's done.
Okay, that's what I was about to say. So if that ever did happen, then it's like, okay, you've done your
And
duty.
it's done.
Is there a proper way? Okay, so this is a random question. If that were to happen, do you dispose of the crystal? Do you still keep it? What do you do? Or what?
I have to admit that I keep them.
I know, I was like, I'm willing to know.
But then that's because I am a crystal artist, you see. So
Yeah.
I keep the remaining crystals, I cleanse them, and then I use them for whatever it is
Mm.
I can. For example, my invocation candles, like I crush them a little bit more and I spread them on the side. As long as I cleanse them,
Yes.
then I'm good.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing too, is, when dealing with natural things in our world, I think it's important that we're reusing them or we're disposing of them properly. Like,
Actually,
even if I mean, my mind just jumps to, when working with herbs or smoke medicine, you know, disposing of it back in nature and giving it back and having that recycling, I think is really important. And as you said, making sure that you cleanse it. So tangent, if you are giving crystals, as gifts, something that I'll do, talking about spoke medicine, is, sage or Palo Santo, some of these that have, smokes as well have different vibrations to them, or I should say the herbs do. So cleansing those crystals, is a really good idea to do if you're giving it away as a gift, or I'm sure you do that, when you're selling things. And it kind of just protects that crystal and or, sets a clean intention for the person that you're giving it to. That's kind of what I think about with that. So
no, for sure, I completely agree. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. It makes a huge difference as well.
yeah. All right, Shiri. Well, that's pretty much everything that we were going to talk about, but I'll leave you with this. Is there anything, or I'll ask you this, is there anything that you would like to leave for our viewers Or is there any other thing that's coming to mind that you would like to share?
Well, I would just like to remind everyone that not only do crystals aid in your manifestations and whatever it is that you want to achieve for yourself, but it also helps break those recurring patterns that contribute absolutely nothing to your spiritual journey. And by those patterns, I'm talking about generational curses. So, certain habits and behaviors that have been passed from generation to generation, not out of maliciousness or any kind of hate, but it's because the earlier generations did the best that they could and they believed that this was the right way to go, and therefore those behaviors passed on onto you. And when you recognize that those behaviors are really not doing anything for you, they're not contributing anything positive into your life, they're only resulting in the same circumstances over and over, you understand that these behaviors need to be broken, they need to be stopped. And crystals, they provide a fascinating outlook into that. So when you start working with crystals, they help identify where those behaviors have actually come from. And it's not immediate, definitely. It's not going to fall, the answers are not going to fall into your lap. But all I'm saying is the more experience that you gain, the more patience that you have with yourself. And when meditating with these crystals daily, any question that you ask them when it comes out of a very pure place, it is answered in your meditation. So I have actually done this myself, and I did it with purple amethyst, where I asked it a question, and it was able to identify where exactly in my line that I have adopted this pattern. And it helped me break this limiting belief because it led to a limiting belief anyway.
Right.
Behaviors that I was, sending out, it led to a certain limiting belief that was really cutting into my abundance. So crystals are a wonderful tool to help you realize where these patterns are coming from, and it will help you transform them into your own, not from the previous generation or the generation before you, but you. Because as much as your family cares about you, obviously, there's so much of love, there is so much of care and a sense of belonging. But you are the one who is responsible for your own life. You are responsible and held accountable for your own spiritual journey. So why not break the patterns? Why not adopt certain behaviors and beliefs that will help you live a more fulfilling life, to help you realign your thoughts, your words, your actions? So, definitely, I would really recommend crystals to be used in terms of breaking these limiting beliefs and help you live a more high vibrational life, as well as aid in your manifestations. There's also the shadow work that comes into it that we spoke about, but all of these things together are hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are a combination.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think, like, what a great lasting remark to leave with people. I think something that is so important in this day and age is realizing that, the world is changing and that's okay. And for us to continue with the same things that generations of the past, were doing is, one, only going to cause more friction as the collective is changing in a different direction. It's going to cause more friction for you. But, two, it's just those ways have expired. And I love that you mentioned it's just people doing the best that they could with what they had at that time. I mean, we can go back 500 years, we can go back 1,000 years, we can go back 50 years. And
Play
you
the same game all we want, but
exactly. And it's like, there's these patterns and cycles of things that have changed and that still need to change. And I think we have to take responsibility and start realizing that sometimes we are doing those patterns that, need to be stopped and changed for us and for others around us. And so I think that that's really important, that we are able to sit and, one, be reflective on our patterns and reflective of our shadows, and then to manifest others. So it's kind of an inward outward thing. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Shiri, thank you so much for coming on today. I loved all of the conversations that we had.
Beautiful. I had such a fun time. I'm so grateful that you had me on your wonderful show, and I look forward to seeing what else you have to produce.
Thank you so much. And guys, if you did enjoy this episode, please use it to inspire those around you. And I will see you next time on In a Spiritual Sense. For those looking to connect further, please feel free to send emails to info@inaspiritualsense.com or hit me up on Instagram at spiagno, that is SPIAGNO, where you can find weekly inspiration and updates. I look forward to connecting with you.